time. Oh, lordy, lordy. Well, hello, everybody. It seems we just went. It seems we just went live without our titles. Never mind. You can see the titles on replay. As you can see, I'm here, and we've got Meek here on camera today, and he's down by my feet here. By the look of it, it's great. Getting a wonderful view of me from low down. I quite like this. I look like
You look
kind of
very
master.
imposing.
I know. Well, the great shot. Oh dear, hang on. They're going to demote me now. Yes, I can see. The camera is falling and I'm back to the normal. Oh well, never mind. I'll just have to be my normal self and welcome you, everybody, to the latest edition of the Inworld Review, where astonishingly, yes, indeed, astonishingly, it's already February of the year. You wouldn't believe it from the floodwaters all over Britain, but we haven't had snow, so maybe I do believe it. This is April weather, actually. Anyway, I'm Mal Burns, and I'm in the UK, and hosting the show. We'll be joined shortly by my colleague Ty Ovitz, and our guests. I'll get to them in a short while. Meanwhile, it becomes me, as normal, to give you a very brief breakdown on what's happening in what we call the greater metaverse, the world of immersive spaces on the web, on the internet, on your desktop, and all over the place, really. They are a very varied sort of thing. Starting off, I have a blog from blog.ericgoldman.org. That's ERICGOLDMAN. And they are a technology and marketing law blog. And they have announced, as of January 26th, that a copyright suit over terraforming in Second Life has survived summary judgment, and there has been a settlement made. I believe it's an out-of-court settlement. Apparently, owners of spaces in virtual worlds like Second Life, who actually create an island and terraform it, do own the copyright, personally, in that terraforming. It doesn't belong to Linda Labs, in other words. And apparently this has been sort of resolved, so it forms a bit of a precedent. If you want to know more, check out blog.ericgoldman.org. What have we got next? The return of a Second Life blog from Virtual Christine. It's a Second Life / OpenSim blog, and she's just announced she's back. And I hadn't actually noticed her gone, but until I actually sort of think about it. But a good blog that sort of covers all aspects of the metaverse. And the subtitle: An Older Woman's Thoughts on the Metaverse. It's got a ring to it, that has. If you'd like to know more, check out virtualchristine, or one word, .com, and her welcome back announcement, as it were. Huckleberryhacks.blogspot.com. That's HUCKLEBRRYHAX. A bit of a handful there. Huckleberryhacks, or one word, .blogspot.com. Published yesterday, The Second Life of Second Life. How virtual reality might be both the savior and slayer of our metaverse. Triggered, it looks like, Rod Humble's departure, which we discussed last week, but going into a lot of other things, your Oculuses and Rift and, same thing, aren't they? Steam, Valve, all the rest of it, and, looking at how the metaverse may be going, and actually suggesting, although I suspect they are just suggesting, that Yahoo actually have designs on the virtual world, and that may be part of their purchase of Cloud Party rather than just the tech. So you find that at huckleberryhacks.blogspot.com. Over at justincc.org, JUSTINCC.org. Core man behind the OpenSim developers, released today again. Note came up yesterday. Open Simulator version 0.7.6.1 and 0.7.5.1, both of them. indeed, have just been released. I'm not quite sure what the difference is. I presume the later number is the latest one, but various tweaks apparently, and particularly a couple of tweaks to do with the hypergrid as well. So if you run your own OpenSim installations, either on your hard disk or elsewhere, then you may want to download that new version as your main engine, so to speak. Right, justincc.org is where you want to go for that. Now, Maria Korolev, she's not with us today, I'm afraid, but one of her blogs at the beginning of the week, well, no, it wasn't the beginning of the week, it was Friday. You can tell how confused I'm getting here. It was the last day of the month, but it's another matter. Her title is Love is in the Air this month on OpenSim. And indeed, it does seem to be, because a sim called Virtual Highway have dedicated a festival park region to love. Yes, love. Love is all you need. On top of that, let me see, the VH Learning Centre. Oh, this is still on Virtual Highway. It's part of it. The Littlefield Grid have opened up a new romance region, which if you're on the Littlefield Grid, the region you're looking for is Sweethearts. And we know February the 14th is coming, but we'll cover that next week. Inworlds are holding a country-themed Valentine's Day barn dance, which will be on February the 14th itself, so you've got a little while to wait for that. And you can take your date to a surreal dance show happening on Avination. Ichi Momo Nakamura's Cirque Mystique, which will be happening at 12 p.m. And I love this. They don't always tell you the dates. I presume that is February the 14th too, but there are some other events already happening there. Island Oasis, another grid, will be holding a big Valentine's Day dance. And Tropical Paradise has opened up a sort of romantic sim called The Boardwalk. And in the news at the bottom here, which doesn't seem to be very lovey, Third Rock Grid is offering 2-for-1 regions. If you fancy getting a regional on Third Rock Grid, you can get 2 for the price of 1 at the moment. And Dream Nation has added extra server capacity and various new merchants. The German Grid's Folk Cafe is, well, it's more of an event really. The Wailers tribute band. Vanish begins a musical hypergrid tour. This sounds like fun. OpenSim Hypergrid Tour 2014. And this is going to be hang on February the 16th on OS Grid, the region. I think it's the region that's called Vanish. Virtual Belfast is nearing its 4th anniversary. The Craft Grid is turning 4. And a grid called Logicamp, a Belgian-based grid, is offering you free shops. If any resident there wants to open a shop, they can have one for free, apparently. Right, I don't actually know this grid, but there's a newish grid called Pillars of Mist. You know, it's the Pillars of Mist grid. And they seem, they're hypergrid enabled, so you can get them at pillarsofmist.com. 7000 :oak, and they're showing a selection of music, movies. I think they're trying to promote themselves as like a movie venue on the grid. And Kitely has made changes to the login URI and released more bug fixes. Avalonia Estate is scaling back, and other events. So I really have added there. Want more? Check out Maria's blog at www.hypergridbusiness.com. Just a couple of other blogs that were just interesting reads this week. Second Life and OS Grid, all hail to the Taurus. Interesting. More of an arty sort of thing than anything else, but you can find it at meritcoba.com. That's meritcoba.com, or hail to the Taurus. And Singularity, one of the most popular viewers for the Metaverse and the Hypergrid, it can be used for Second Life too, by the way, has a new public release out. They seem to have nightly alpha releases that are very stable, but they have a public release out, which is Singularity version 1.8.5. And it includes fitted mesh, mouse move, and more. And I was quite intrigued to read some of the other blogs commenting on this. Is the mouse move business, because apparently all you have to do is hold your right button down in the Singularity viewer, and you have a lot of phenomenal control over your with your right button pressed. You can move your mouse and move your avatar and do things that people tend to do with arrow keys and other commands. It's not something you can do in Second Life, for example. You can't just right click and get a whole different menu, but apparently there's a whole load of menus being introduced in Singularity that just pop up on your right click. So good on them. People seem to be really liking this. So maybe people like Linden Labs will take a cue from that. Inworld, Daniel Voyager's blog here, are celebrating their 5th birthday this year, and basically all they've done so far is release the birthday planning details, which are quite considerable. The birthday takes place on the 16th of March to the 2nd of April. And if you check out danielvoyager.wordpress.com, you can actually see a nice little chart showing all the plans they have got coming up for that event. And Inworld, of course, is one of the bigger independent grids. It's Walled Garden like Second Life, but it's probably a second runner to Second Life if you follow the same sort of patterns as Second Life does. And then finally, another one from another play this week at modemworld.wordpress.com. That's Modem, by the way, MODEMWORLD. And it's a piece called You and Your Avatar, Opening the Digital Frontier or Perpetuating the Status Quo. And well, basically, she's looking at a researcher called Nick Yee and his thoughts. He's a research scientist at Ubisoft. Well, there's blogs that is sort of food for thought department, to use my expression. Right, so that's my roundup of the things I've got on my list as far as the greater metaverse is concerned. So I'm now going to throw it over to my colleague Tara for her take on the week, be it metaverse or indeed Inworld in Second Life. So over to you, Tara.
Well, thank you, Mel, and greetings everyone from the Pacific Northwest. And this week we have an abundance of things to observe and celebrate or whatever, depending upon your inclinations. Friday was the beginning of Chinese New Year, and this is the year of the wood horse. And over on the to my avatar's right, stage right, there is a horse statue, and this is actually a bronze horse, but it is a freebie. It is freebie, available in the Second Life Marketplace if you search for Chinese New Year. It's a very lovely horse statue. I thought about adding some sort of Chinese New Year decorations to it, and I decided no, we'd be understated about Chinese New Year. Anyhow, you can admire that. And this is also today. Now we get to today, and today is a very special day. Today is Groundhog Day. And as those of you who live in the US of A probably already know, Puxatawny Phil was roused from his burrow at some obscene hour this morning in Pennsylvania. And sure enough, he saw his shadow. And that means there's 6 more weeks of winter. And hopefully our Geo will get his camera over so that he's on stage right, so that you can actually meet Puxatawny Philomena, who is our Inworld groundhog. And Philomena doesn't say anything. She's sort of lost. And those of you who are Inworld will appreciate the pun there. But Philomena is not seeing her shadow, and this means that winter will be over in 4 weeks in Second Life. So Philomena is capable at least of waving. She's not going to say anything, but she'll wave. So,
Will she? I'm watching. I'm
yeah, well,
watching.
in a minute, she'll wave a couple of times, and whenever it shows up on camera, I can't look at both actually see what's on camera at the moment.
Fair
Anyway,
enough.
she can also clap. Yeah, she could applaud. She's good at
She's
applauds, and she can lie down and laugh and cry and do some other things. But anyhow, even if you're coping with horrendous weather. According to Puxatani Philomena, 4 weeks. And if you've got snow in Second Life, it's time to get rid of it. And the other thing that's happening today, I'm wearing a sweatshirt in honor of the fact that in my RL Sim area, Seattle happens to be my hometown. And I'm not all that far from it as the crow flies. And the Seahawks, Seattle's football team, National Football League team, is in the Super Bowl for the first time ever today. And needless to say, Seattle is looking very Seahawks festive. And in fact, Mount Rainier has been, by state Senate proclamation, temporarily renamed Mount Seattle Seahawks. Even.
oh,
And there is a 747 that has been painted with the Seahawks logo. So, this shows you just how foolish this all is. So, fortunately, the game doesn't kick off until after this show is over for anyone who is eager to watch the festivities and all the commercials that are part of the show. Anyhow.
Yeah, all the commercials.
Oh, yes. Well,
Glad you got that one in.
yeah. Well, see, the thing about the Super Bowl is it has a track record of having the highest viewership of anything ever. And so the advertisers queue up probably years in advance. And there's this advertisers kind of competition on who produces the best ad. So the ads often, if the game is a yawn, the ads at least get something of a buzz. Anyway, at least that's what I'm told. And once in a while, one of them I'll catch one in the afterplay. Anyhow, well, speaking of movies and things on screens, a new machinima competition announced by University of Western Australia, and this is actually being run by an outfit called Screen My Shorts Incorporated, and they did a project on, maybe Honor can help me out here on what the last one was that they were responsible for sponsoring that University of Western Australia jumped in on. But anyway, Project Homeless 2014 is a challenge run by Screen My Shorts Incorporated and the University of Western Australia in partnership and sponsored by the Parramatta City Council. I have no idea where Parramatta is, but I suspect it's Australia someplace. Teams will be asked to select 2 subjects from a list they would like to make their film about that concerns homelessness. And one of those 2 will be assigned to the team just immediately prior to when they can start producing. The theme, there's an interesting, fascinating list. They've got 22 different possibilities on themes, ranging from several varieties of intolerance, environmental disaster, refugee or asylum seekers, political, corporate, public servant leader wakes up homeless, being on a waiting list / bureaucracy / housing affordability, economic pressures, overcrowding, sleeping in a car, ignoring homeless people / how I feel about the homeless, indigenous homeless, gender-based homeless / mothers and children, homeless ingenuity / innovation, homeless humor / living in the streets, home sweet homeless, cooperation between homeless. It's a jungle out there, as all kind of lapped together as one. Anyway, so there's a deadline of April 11th to get an application in, and entrants will then be informed on that date of their allocated theme, and teams will have until May 11th to get their I think it's 3 to 6 minutes is the time range. There's a hefty prize pot for this in real life dollars. And this is not just machinima. There's the competition overall also includes RL filming. The nice thing for machinima participants is University of Western Australia is covering the entry fees, so there's no cost to enter. If those who are doing RL Productions. There's an entry fee for being in the contest. Um, and anyway, completed films by Sunday, May 11th. And there's more information at screenmyshorts.com, or also check the University of Western Australia website. And Mal, you may know the URL for that right off the top, but I don't have it handy.
Yeah, actually, Honor has just put a link into the channel chat, screenmyshorts.com.
Yeah, that's the one.
Which I think where the details at. Yeah.
Yeah. You can poke around there. So, okay, the Eat My Vegetables segment, which largely is thanks to Inara Pay's blog and her weekly coverage of the third-party viewer meetings Inworld, which are one of the very few places where there's kind of regular routine communication from the lab, and it's all on the kind of the geeky side of things and what's coming out or what has just been released in the way of viewers and server-related stuff. The new version of the fitted mesh viewer, which arrived on Monday, apparently still has an issue, and there's going to be a further update on tomorrow. If the new release candidate proves stable and reliable, then it may be looked at as a contender to go to the release status. The HTTP release candidate viewer, released on 16th of January, is performing well and is currently the strongest contender for the next promotion to de facto release viewer. And let's see, onward. Oh yeah, the current maintenance viewer, released on January 23rd, has generated quite a bit of interest due to its inclusion of a fix to the death to GPU table bug.
GPU. Come again?
How's that for a mouthful? Yeah, you just glazed over, didn't you? The GPU table graphic. Yeah. I can't tell you what GPU stands for. Anyway, the GPU table is used to define your graphics card to the viewer and the default graphics settings, which are applied as a result when you first start the viewer. And as you may be aware, this table in Second Life is maintained manually, and as a result, it's not a very effective mechanism for keeping up with evolution. So of GPU, of your graphics card settings and drivers and all that kind of stuff. So there's this maintenance bug is part of the ongoing work where the lab eventually hopes will eliminate the GPU table from the Second Life viewer, and that basically it will be doing two systems. The changes will first ask the graphics driver on your local computer which version of OpenGL it supports, and then it will use whatever capabilities that it gets from that to find out and measure the performance of the GPU by doing a series of memory bandwidth tests. So basically the whole idea of this is it's going to do a better job of keeping your viewer, your Second Life viewer, in sync with your graphics card capabilities. And that's a very good thing, because when it's not, that affects your Second Life performance in lots of ways. So that explains why there's been a fair amount of interest in this particular maintenance viewer, because it's got part of the ongoing work around all that. So yeah.
I don't know. I was going to say that's kind of curious because on the Mac, I know that the OpenGL is used for graphics, but on most Windows systems, it's usually set to DirectX.
Well, I'm sharing the.
Whatever you say, Mel.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry. Yeah. I was just wondering if that resonated, but never mind.
Yeah. Anyway. Okay. Onward. Continuing on the theme of viewers, the Oculus Rift viewers is in what is hoped to be, quote, final QA, and is thought to be getting closer and closer to an initial release. However, before anyone gets too excited about that, Oz Linden held up a cautionary warning that it and or the Sunshine viewer may be held back until the release channel is thinned down just a little. So so that the release candidates, so that things don't get too overburdened. So, including third-party viewers integrating all this stuff. So, there you have it. That's the latest on Oculus Rift. And that's okay. That's everything from the particular Eat Your Vegetables list. But another little interesting item that I picked up on is Linden Lab on the 30th, which was Thursday, announced it has updated its bot policy. Specifically, this is a small update, but potentially far-reaching, outlawing the use of bots for mainland parcel purchases. It's about time. The revisions are two parts: a comment on the use of bots and an update to the policy itself. And the new policy says the use of bots, autonomous software scripting, manual or automated, scripted agents, or any systems or software internal or external to the Second Life service that circumvent, automate, and or remove the human interaction required to purchase a land parcel within Second Life on the Linden Lab-owned mainland is prohibited. So there you have it. Yes. Yes. Good thing. Very good thing.
Glad you mentioned that. I had that on my list. So yes, I think that is a very good move. Kick out those damn bots. Yeah.
And I'm sure I'll be very interested in seeing what our guests have. Get any thoughts our guests have on Rod Humble's departure. But interesting, Hamlet out in his blog this week is continuing to make various comments that sound like "stay tuned." Big things are coming that are good, and he did some more of that. And it's interesting to me that Hamlet says, "quote I can honestly say I haven't been as excited about Second Life now as I have been in several years."
Which scares the hell out of me.
Yeah.
Well, considering how Cassandra, he's been about Second Life for some time now. That is a little scary.
Well, because he's so determined it should be a game. So if he's really excited, does that mean? Never mind. I'll stop it.
We'll come to that.
Yes. Anyway, he says, well, it's still not clear who will lead Linden Lab into this new era of new VR and tablet technology. Yeah, he says he can definitely say this 10-year-old world still has a few more surprises for its citizens and the wider world. Stay tuned. Well, there we have it. If that is not a teaser, I don't know what is. Anyway, okay, just a couple last items here on items going on. Oh, well, and one thing going on today, and depending upon when we get done blabbering, you can always go over and check out the end of Bay City's 4th annual Mole Day, which is today between 1 and 3 Second Life time. It's held at the Bay City Fairgrounds, and it's their big celebration of the hard work that the moles do for the grid. That's the Linden Lab Department of Public Works, which Bay City benefited from specifically. A couple things, Daniel Voyager's blog that I noticed. There's a Second Life Bloggers Conference that apparently is supposed to be happening February 7th to 9th. And his link just goes to a Google Doc that's an application form for people who might be interested in speaking at that event. Maybe you've got somebody else has more information, or if they put, I don't know, they ought to have a news release out by now about where and times and stuff, but I haven't seen one. And also upcoming February 14th is this year's 1 Billion Rising, and it's 1 Billion Rising for Justice is the full name this year, which suggests an attempt to broaden it a bit from last year's focus specifically on violence against women. And I think I'm out of news for now.
Okay, well, plenty of news there. Actually, it's quite a full news week if you put mine and yours together. Yeah, the endless saga of departing CEOs. Of course, 1 week into this thing now, and we still haven't actually heard anything from the lab about that publicly. Interesting that things like the bot restrictions, which is great. A lot of stuff's just happening at the lab as normal. It's almost as though they don't need a CEO. There hasn't really been any sense of quietness at the lab itself where Second Life is concerned. So I guess we'll just bide our time to see what is actually going to come up on the new CEO horizon. I have a feeling we'll be covering February the 14th, which will be a bit more imminent next week. But of course, there will be Valentine's Day, there will be 1 billion rising, and there's no doubt all sorts of things on every other grid you can imagine, judging by the rundown of Maria's blog I gave earlier. And just in reply to Tara, I did actually mention the bloggers conference last week, and unfortunately it's not up on my screen on this week's list, but there was certainly a blog that posted that news, and I'll try and dig that up and repost it on my Twitter stream at some point, because that too is only a sort of a couple of weeks away. So pardon me.
That's less than a week away. That's next, like Friday and Saturday.
Oh, it's the 7th, isn't it?
Yeah,
okay.
7th
Well, if
to
you
9th,
follow me on, if you follow my Twitter streams, I'll endeavour to get more information up there. And there is an Inworld group called Second Life Bloggers, but nothing has appeared on that either. So maybe it will, maybe it won't. We'll see what you can do to bring you more about that. Right, now I've got a few various other things on my list here which are to do with Inworld, and I'm so going to bring them up later in the show or as we go, so to speak. So right now I'm going to introduce our guest for this week. And first of all, I'm sitting over next to Tara, good friend of the show. It's a welcome back to Honor McMillan. Hi, Honor.
Hold on a second. Hello. Hello.
Hello.
Good to be back.
Hold on a second.
Well, I just, we've got to make the lips move. Yes, I'm back. Hello. Welcome. Thank you. Pleasure to be here.
Right. As I was introducing people earlier, of course, Honor's blog is another day, another destination, and a dab panda headlines. I'm getting so great about that. It's almost it's like Maria Korolov's dark metaverse. The moment it's mentioned, it becomes a ubiquitous word for people to talk about. Anyway, and I'm also joined. She was with us a few weeks ago by I better call you Cecilia, hadn't I? Should I call you Varda or Cecilia?
You can call me Varda. That's fine.
Okay. I'm looking at right. Okay, Varda Silva, Inworld. Her avatar name is Varda Silva, and she is behind the new monthly show called Virtual Voice, and she was here talking about it a few weeks ago. But later in the show, the Metaverse Week in Review, in about a couple of hours' time or something, we'll be sharing the latest January edition of that. So welcome, Varda, to the conversation. And maybe a good place to start is if you just tell us what's coming up when we air the show for you later.
Sure. Well, the show that we were doing for January, we want to kind of focus on Valentine's Day because we do it late. So it's not like we do it in the beginning of the month. So it's kind of like we have to think of what's coming in the month ahead. So that being the big holiday, we wanted to focus on destinations and kind of interesting gifts off the wall gift ideas is really what we were trying to do. Things that you normally wouldn't get, but you could get for someone on Second Life or any other virtual world. So it was kind of a little interesting thing that we did.
Right. I have to admit, I'm looking forward to seeing it all myself because I didn't get through all of it when I first got the copy, so I've uploaded it here and we'll be watching that later. So it's you're still on the monthly schedule and everything, so we can expect another one.
Yeah,
near
coming
the end
up
of February, I guess.
At the end of February, and of course we'll be focusing on what's going on in March. So it's kind of like we have to think ahead. But whenever we do this, it's not always, we know exactly what's going to be going on. It's kind of like we have to sit there and discuss it and just go over points of what we think should be. And sometimes we have to take segments. Like in the January show, we had to take segments out because we had the owner of Nuvera online, which is another virtual world. was kind enough to give us like an inside view of a do-it-yourself if you're interested in creating something and how their perspective is. So it kind of really opened my eyes when seeing that how similar it was in some ways to Second Life, but still pretty cool because the way that you create is in viewer. So it's not in world like you do here. It's in, in another viewer. And the way that things are applied and done is pretty cool because you don't have to pay every time you upload a texture and stuff like that. And there was also ways that you could change the way that the mesh was so that you could get rid of clipping in a mesh. So when you got a mesh here, you can't really do that because the way that the file is imported, it's created in 3ds Max or whatever other program that you're using and then imported in World. And then once you have it, that's what you have. You're up to the mercy of the person that makes it and the way that they rig the mesh. And if they didn't rig the mesh properly and you get clipping, you're stuck with it. Whereas in Nuvera, you actually had a chance to correct that clipping before you produced it. So there was some nice things that I thought, wow, that would be so cool if they had that over here too. But it was interesting to see, and I was really grateful to have that from her to get that insight.
That sounds great. And Nuvera is one of those, I've known it's there. It's a bit like IMVU, really popular grid, but I've never really seemed to have gone into them. So that sounds worthy of my checking up again.
Well, you should because it's a grid that's made for adults. So you have to be 18 to get in. But it's not that type of grid that, when people think 18 plus, then they think, oh, la-di-da, all kinds of oohies going on over there. But
oh, it's Second Life.
But really, there's really not. Yeah. It's just really made a place for adults to hang out. It's run off the Unity engine, so it's completely different. Right. It's something completely different from Second Life. You can't really compare it because it's like apples and oranges. It's just a different destination.
Is it multiple grid? In other words, is it a vast sort of teleportable around kind of place, or is it individual installations?
Well, it's everything is like you have your own viewer that you have to use, and they only have one viewer, of course, because it comes off the Unity engine, and you will teleport to different destinations. Like you have an island, it's the same idea. The island is only so big, and everything is within that island, but you can't interconnect the islands. So that's the difference. You can't put 4 or 5 sims together. Each one is an individual base room, but some of the rooms are just enormous. And yeah, you can get lost and drive around them and just do all kinds of crazy stuff. It's great.
Great. I'll definitely check that out. I mean, because one of the problems with a lot of Unity things is they are ideal for embedding on the web or something and having an individual installation, but they're not connectable to, their installations. They're not complete grids. But the fact you can actually, even though the islands are presumably separate, you can teleport between them sounds a good way of going. So I'll check that out. It was actually quite fascinating this week. I got the chance this week to listen to the 2 latest editions of Dragster's Radio Hour, which of course started about 4 weeks ago. Had mixed feelings. The one from not this Friday, but the Friday before was Hijab, some kind of interview with somebody called Esteban, somebody or other, who's supposed to be a griefer, and I really didn't get the interest in that at all. But some of the chit chats on the latest one and incidental to the other one, was looking at other grids and things, and I actually realised that IMVU was one that he didn't mention, which in many ways, when I see clips from IMVU, I tend to think of them as rather like Second Life in many ways. And yes, it actually has a formidable user base that makes Second Life pale in comparison. Have you made much use of IMVU, Father?
Actually, that's where I got introduced to virtual worlds was in April 2006 on IMVU, and I'm very familiar with IMVU. There's vast differences, and I can point those out to you pretty quickly. Like Second Life, you can walk around, you can fly, you have control over your avatar. So it's more like a real life experience if you putting yourself into an avatar. Where Second Life, it's Nodeville. You have to hop in the nodes to move anywhere.
IMVU.
Huh?
IMVU is like Nodesville.
Yeah, exactly. It's Nodesville. You want to sit in a chair, you sit in a node. You want to stand someplace, you have to just sit on a node. You can't walk, you can't really do much of anything. So when you find these little things that let you do it, it's like a big deal over there.
Of course, a lot of the clips I see are sort of, they're a bit like Second Life in the sense they show avatars dancing and music sort of videos filmed in there. And so I suppose it's just the aesthetic that reminds me of Second Life, as does
Well,
Open Sim and Club Party.
well, it's really different because what's different about IMVU, they have such a large user base. And the user base, the way that that works is it's more of a built-in, tighter community. So you have a lot more interaction with all types of people. We're not just talking your friends. We're talking sometimes because of it's 13 plus, you have to interact with people that are of the age of 13 and up, and they can come into your public rooms because they're broadcast. So it's more of a community experience because you meet tons and tons and tons of people on there, but sometimes there is a negative to it because you have to interact with people who may not know how to act.
Yes. Well, I don't know. Second Life suffers from that a wee bit.
Yeah.
But no, I take your point. It's overload kind of thing, really, isn't it?
Yes, it's not unusual to go into a room and there's 10 to 14 people in there already and just having a good time and dancing, and then you get the one Johnny Appleseed that wants to go in there and kiss all the girls. So
And,
it's more prominent.
I think they should have been advertising virtual bras earlier, shouldn't they, rather than the real thing? I can never.
Go ahead.
Sorry, no, I can never remember the name of it. I haven't used it for a long while, but I have a virtual world on my desktop which sort of generates a little room for you on your actual Windows desktop. And there's public rooms where they have parties and things, and you get these parties of people where there's more avatars than can possibly fit on this little room you've got on a desktop. And it's just so overwhelming. You really don't want to be there after a while because everybody's talking over everybody else and different levels of conversation. It's not really very manageable. But
Yeah, that's the truth. That's
sounds
the one
like
thing
the
about
same
it.
sort of thing.
Exactly. It's exactly the same sort of thing. Whereas here, you have the distance and talking. Like if you're having a private conversation with Tara, right? And you're talking at a distance. I could go 256 meters on IMVU and still read every single word you're saying. So there's no privacy. It's zero.
Yeah. How many? Do you know how many users it's actually got? Because I mean, I think the thing that makes me notice it, makes it come up on my radar so often, is simply the volume of users. I mean, it makes Second Life pale by comparison, doesn't it?
There's on the average of about 80,000 to 100,000 a day on IMVU, and they have. I think the reason that they have so many more users, though, and this is the truth, because I love IMVU, I'm not going to down it, but I'm just pointing out, the obvious, because they allow the 13 plus. So you've got a lot of kids on there. I mean, a lot of kids. And it's not unusual to go into a room and be surrounded by children. And I don't have anything against kids because I had kids that were my friends that were more mature than some adults I knew. But and I have them on IMVU. I've practically raised the 3 or 4 on IMVU that have gone to college and everything now. They're adults now since being there. But the things that they have done to try to prevent that is made like the AP, which is the adult pass. And with that, what you can do is you can go into a room, you put the AP on, and anybody who doesn't have or purchase the AP pass cannot get into your room. Now, you can't purchase an AP pass unless you're 18. So this takes out a lot of the kids. But then because it's an adult pass, you tend to get more adult conversation in the rooms too. So it kind of has its ups and downs. Things that you pay payoffs or trade-offs.
I'm just thinking of Geomeek has actually said, he's on camera here today, in fact, but it's just said in our channel chat room that SL is 13 plus, but I'm not sure. I thought it was 16 plus.
Well, no, it actually is 13 plus, except 13, 14 15-year-olds are restricted to educational sims that they belong to. They aren't allowed to explore the grid. 16 and 17-year-olds can explore the grid, but only general maturity rating sims. So it is actually 13 plus. It's just we'll never see them because we're not allowed into those sims and they're not allowed out.
Fair enough. Just like the old teen grid always was, in other words.
Yeah, essentially it is. Yeah.
Yeah, right. Okay, that's good. It's odd. That just sort of passed me by. I just assumed we were on the 16 sort of plus. But no, that's good. Well, it's obvious too with educational things and what have you. Okay, let's move over to you, Honor. It's been a few weeks, hasn't it?
I'm
not going to ask you for every destination you've been to the last
well, and I have a
4 or
special
5
one
weeks
for you
away,
today. I
Yeah,
have a special one for you today, but I also have 2 techie things because, as everybody knows,
Great.
I'm a real techie.
Yeah, let's do the techie stuff
But
first.
I'll do the techie stuff first because if it affects me, it might affect some other people, and if there's a solution, then you might want to know. The first one is for photographers. A lot of us recently, or in the past year or so, discovered that we couldn't do depth of field anymore. That we would take a photo with depth of field, we'd carefully isolate a specific object, save it to our hard drive and go look at it, and the whole effect was not there. It was not there. Well, it turns out, and I'm going to give you my highly technical explanation for this, but you can find on a number of blogs the actual reason. And I'll give you a link to an explanation in a moment. I want you to imagine that you're looking at your screen and you use depth of field and you isolate an object and you go, okay, I want to save to my hard drive. Well, what happens between you clicking the button and it arriving on your hard drive is that there are pixies in the Pixelverse, and they work very, very hard to sharpen your image. Not only that, but the larger the image you save, so for example, when I save an image, I save it at 4,000 by 2,400 pixels, because really 4,000 is the largest you can go in any one direction depending on your video card. And it gives me a lot of options for cropping and sizing and various other things. But the larger you go, larger than your screen size, the hungrier the pixies are. So as soon as all of us went, oh, thank God, the line bug is gone, we can take large format photos. As soon as we started to do that, the pixies gobbled up any hint of depth of field. So the solution to this, okay, and I have to give credit to Rico Sainz because he's the one who blogged this. So if you go to secondsighting.wordpress.com, Rico's blog, you'll find a blog post called How to Actually Capture Depth of Field on Your SL Photos. And the solution is to go into debug settings, set camera FN number to a slightly lower number. So for example, 2 or 3. Then play with the debug setting called camera focal length. Now I want you to imagine, because what you have to do is overcompensate to still have depth of field working once it arrives on your hard drive. So I took photos that it got to the point that my entire screen looked like it was under half an inch of Vaseline. Okay. But when I saved the image, I actually got what I was aiming for. It helps a lot if you have a second monitor hooked up so that you can look at the image on your hard drive to see how you're doing. I mean, you can still do it with one monitor, obviously. It's just more of a pain because you have to minimize Second Life to do it. But the answer, ladies and gentlemen, to getting depth of field back, especially if you're taking a large photo format image, is to fuss with camera focal length in debug settings. Set camera F number down to 3 or 2, and then fuss with camera focal length or some of the other settings. And you can actually, once again, achieve depth of field. Again, go to secondsighting.wordpress.com. His post was on January 22nd, and he explains it very, very well. Okay.
Is that okay? Is that second
Yeah.
sighting SITING or SIGHT?
SIGHT. Okay.
Right.
So that was the first one. The second one, I didn't know this until this morning, but apparently Linden Labs thinks they fixed this bug, but apparently haven't really fixed this bug. Some people are encountering an issue where they res something and they can't de-res it. They're not allowed to delete it. They're not allowed to take it. They're not allowed, and you get a pop-up message that says there's some issue with inventory. And so you can't do this. Okay. Now, this works for me and it works for some other people. So here's a trick you can try if you've resed an object and you can't de-res it and you really, really want to. Okay. I use the Labs viewer. In the Labs viewer, you right-click on the object. Edit is obviously one of the options, but one of the options on that menu is Manage. And if you select that, another option is to return the object to its owner. And return works. The object winds up back in your lost and found, but it does de-res. Okay, you manage to clear it off of the sim wherever it is that you've resed it.
Right.
I don't know where you find that in the other viewers, but find return and try that. So if you're having issues with resing. Okay. Then
yeah, I think return is on pretty much all the viewers.
Somewhere it is. Don't ask me where, but it is. It's in there somewhere. From a Sims point of view, I've seen a lot of really interesting Sims lately. But yes.
Yeah, before you go on to that, on the photography issue, which sounds very convoluted, because the essence of photography in real life or anywhere else is that you capture what you see, which and the idea that you've got to adjust things, and what you're capturing is not what you see.
It's for a special reason. Rather than suppose I wanted to do a portrait of Mel Burns, okay? And you were standing in a busy marketplace, all right? But what I want to do is have you in clear focus and the background slightly blurry. So what that does is it makes you stand out, okay? So sometimes we want to do that with an object or an individual, or we want to make that a special effect in our photos. And it's called adjusting the depth of field. So that you pick what it is you want very clear, and you pick how much blur you want the rest of the image to be.
Yeah.
Okay. That's what.
Yeah, I understand that. It's just the convoluted way of going about it. It's if you can't tell what's in front of you, is exactly the same as your capture is going to be.
Yeah, you have to look. You have to start saving and testing. It's fiddly. You have to start saving and testing, but it does mean it's possible to do without then trying to do it all in post-processing. Okay.
Right, I'm with you. Now, is that the same? Do you know if that's the same in all viewers, that bug, or is it Firestorm, Second Life, all of them, or just particular ones?
No idea. I'm just
okay. Fair enough.
I can only report on experience in the Labs viewer. I maybe Rico mentions it in his. He might. I honestly don't know. I just know the pixel pixies are very hungry and they eat up all the blue.
Yeah, I love the idea of pixie pixels. It's like Sunny Salamander's thing, the pixie viewer.
Yeah.
I kept on calling it pixel viewer until I realised it's a pixie viewer. Very nice, very nice. Okay, you better carry on with your destinations.
All right, I wanted to talk about one particular sim. I've seen a lot of really interesting sims lately, but one of them I went to because I got a message from UC Poultry. Now, UC has known me for almost 6 years. So it was very, very strange that she sent me a message saying there was a store I had to go visit. Understand, I don't shop. I hate shopping. I loathe shopping. So telling me I had to go visit a store was a very odd thing to do. And then she said, no. Don't go look in the store. Although for those of you who like shopping, you'll want to do that. What you do is climb the back stairs. I thought, okay, that sounds a little strange. So I went over to Saikin and Boone. And Saikin and Boone is on a sim called Saikin, Saikin. And they have clothes and skins, I think, and I think even hair, and I'm sure they have wonderful products. But it's a giant build, and you land sort of in the foyer, and if you look to your right, there's a very dark flight of stairs at the end of a hallway. And you go down there and you start climbing, and there's multiple, sets of stairs. But what's amazing is this building has all these rooms in it. So there's all these doors and closed doors, and you go through a door and up a stairs and around a corner, and what you find are all these little rooms that are art, that are art installations. It could be a collection of ordinary objects. It's so surreal. Your mind is going to be totally blown, but it's the most amazing place. It's like this old dark tenement building with anonymous doors, and through any one of them you could find something from total left field. If you can find the furnace room, some employee, I think, in this building has set up a club in the furnace room, and you wander down a hall and you go into another room, and it's a bathroom. It's all tiled in this uniform tile, and there's a bathtub sitting in the middle of it, and it's quite extraordinary. In another one, you might find a sculpture, or in one room I found it, and most of it's mesh. There were 2 gas pumps, and this is inside a building. 2 gas pumps and a telephone pole and a lamp in this tiny little room. It's this little art exhibit. There are workrooms and sewing rooms and the most amazing things. Go to Saikin, Saikin, and climb up the back stairs and start going through doors. You're going to find some extraordinary stuff.
That's amazing. And did they advertise it as a gallery or anything like that? Or
no, not as far as
there?
I know. Not as far as I know. One of my readers, because I did post about it. One of my readers says, let me find it. Comment. I'm sure it's something I should have known. He said it's the Bradbury Building in LA, and that he gave me if you look that up in Wikipedia or watch Blade Runner again. So I have no idea. I'd have to go back watch Blade Runner again, but I don't know that maybe it's the Bradbury Building, and there's this surreal, it's like a bunch of people were handed a tiny little space in this old building and told to do something with it, and they did. So go to Saikin and wander around up those stairs. It's mind-blowing. I loved it.
It sounds like I really love places like that. I've seen a few, but they all tend to be rather laggy because obviously you have lots of small rooms and things with stuff in them, and before you know it, they've just used every prim available.
Well, again, it's mesh, right?
But mesh, of course, it's like
that saves. You'll find a modern art gallery space next to a really dark, Anyway, go see Saikin. That's my tip of the day.
And I bet you it's better if you use the interesting viewer.
It could be. I mean, that's what I use. That is what I use. I do use Project Interesting, I admit. Yeah, but you do have to be mesh enabled. Hello, folks. You would have to be mesh enabled in order to see what you're supposed to see.
Yeah. Well, I'm just thinking that the advantage of Project Interesting is all those textures, all those background textures, as opposed to the avatar textures, download fast. Yeah. And in the order you expect them to, i.e. close stuff first.
True.
As distinct from landing someplace where everything's gray and what reses first is anybody's guess.
Well, and again, you can't see what's coming as you wander through the building. Right. So you could be near 3 rooms and have no idea because you're walking on this metal catwalk thing. And you have to actually go through a door and then maybe through another room into another room. But so it's all resing in your viewer as you approach it, even before you see it.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely on the gotta visit list.
Yeah, I know. I'm always saying that too. Gotta visit, and I still don't make half of them. No, that sounds wonderful actually, because I just like that thing of environmental exploration. Um, and the idea of small rooms and getting in a maze almost, trying to find a way about, adds, a lot of fun to the exploration. Right. Well, that sounds like a real goodie. I have a few blogs here where Tara already mentioned the fourth annual Mole Day, which is happening today, of course. I've yet to open these, but there's a new round atelier. Now, I know, Honor, you're not as actively involved now in that. LEA has announced it round 6 AIRS.
Yes, and it's very exciting. It is. Let me tell you that we had, there are 20 our grant sims, right? So people apply for a sim. We had almost 50 applications. That's the good news. The bad news.
Look at the list.
Yeah, the bad news is we had to turn down a lot of good projects and say not this time, because there's only 20 sims. But I think we got a really cool mix of established artists and brand new, never seen, heard before artists. And one of them, although I think he'd been there before, Mac Kaneshima, is doing something in fractals, and they got hold of their sims yesterday, and his is already open, and his build I think goes up 1,700 meters from the ground. You start 1,700 meters in the air and climb down, and it's a giant generated fractal. If you know anything about fractals and dragon curves, that's what this is. It's very impressive. That's on layer 26. So that opened yesterday already.
Is this does this include? There was something. It may be something else I was reading about, which may have been just fractal-based displays. But is this like a construct that is based on fractals, or is it using fractal patterns as live components, as it were?
No, it's fractal patterns. It is a giant fractal. It's 3D. Walk on. What you're thinking of was Jem Preze's exhibition of his fractal paintings, which were mind-blowing. Right. That was 2D. This is 3D. This is you get up there 1,700 meters in the air and climb down. And apparently there are 5 locations on your way down that are safe places where you can stand as things change around you.
take a break climbing down the mountain. Yeah.
Well, more important, it's a mountain that's moving all the time. So that's on layer 26. So it's very exciting. And yes, most of my time is being spent. We've created a volunteer team. And we have more than 40 people signed up so far. Almost 30 of them have already been through initiation, and we're working on the welcome area, and we're working on a bunch of other things. But the enthusiasm and energy is extremely high, and that's where most of my energy is going at the moment.
A worthy cause. A worthy cause. I do say so. Yeah, I'm actually looking at the LEA list here, and it's, I can see a long list of names, of course. Cliff Graves and Canary Beck, Lauren Tone. Oh, and actually, well, I'm fascinated what Sodanome, I presume Sodanome is who I think it is going to do.
It is who you think it is.
I think it is, yeah. Great machinima of a day. We used to have one of those a week.
Oh, yes.
And it's like an ongoing,
so he's
ongoing hilarity. Yeah, he often changes his name, but he's a Sodanome resident. So this is obviously, well, that's a common name now, I suppose, but been around a while. But yeah, be very intrigued to see what he's going to do. I mean, bound to be hilarious or something. But as you say, there are so many names here that aren't really familiar to me at all. I presume, they just entered and they've got their thing. So it looks like I can't even scroll down this list. There's far too many. Oh, no, I've got to the end.
Well, there's 20.
But
there's 20.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Okay, so it's all go. And of course, the sad thing about this is that the the interim exhibitions have now closed. So our friend called Coaxman and Petler Pet Shop and
Yeah.
MOE, for that matter, a whole load of people had month-long temporary things there, but they've now given way to the new ones. So it's all new at the LEA. Right, let me flip back to my list here. That was the only one. Okay, let's see if I can get this one open. There has been, I'm not sure who posted this. I'm loading it now, but Relay for Life have published a list of the initial events for 2014, which is hopefully about to open now, and I can tell you who's done it. Oh, I think it's Noah Pay again. It is indeed. Modemworld, WordPress.com. Nikki Matheson, who's chairing the 214 RFSL season, has distributed note cards and stuff outlining all the events that are coming up. And they start quite literally today. The first 2014 broadcast for Relay, RAP, whatever that may be. And team registrations for Paint Purple are next Saturday. And Team Convio Challenge, that's the first week in February, which is this week, of course. And various events coming out through March, April, May. So Inoa Pay's got a blog on that if you check out Modemworld, WordPress.com. 1 year ends and it almost feels sometimes that there is never a down period where Relay for Life is concerned. So, right. You see, when I go through all my feeds here, Anna, I keep seeing your posts, and I notice them because of the headlines. Using the back stairs in Second Life. Things like this. I think that's Honor for sure.
Well, I'm glad you enjoy them, but to be perfectly honest, I get to the point of titling my posts and go, I don't know. And so it's whatever comes out of my head at the time just becomes the title.
Yeah. But they're highly creative titles, put it that way. Right, I have a blog about to land on me, Fabulously Free in SL, which has the top hunts of the day. Now, this is interesting. I was going to just run down any of the hunts. The ones I've got listed here, which I don't know, these, being the end of the month, some of these may actually be over because there's a whole lot that finished at the end of January and a whole lot of new ones beginning in February. I've got the Hipster Hunt, the Lady Dark Hunt, the Femboy Hunt, good lord what that is, New Beginnings Hunt, Another Day in Paradise Hunt, Formal Flare Hunt, Metamorphosis Hunt, sorry, that is one that has ended, Frozen Flowers Hunt, Fashion Wardrobe 2014 Hunt, no, that's closed, and Medieval Fantasy Hunt. Anybody know anything about those? Are there good ones in there?
I'm sure they're all good.
So, yes,
yeah, I'm sure
exactly.
they're good. I haven't been around them in a while.
Okay, we'll get our home people on this shortly. I'm sure there's a whole load of new ones coming up. Cursed, that was Friday non-profits. Sorry if I seem to be rambling here. It's because I'm scrolling as I'm talking. It's a very long list of various locations. This may be one for you. I don't think it was your blog. Vor Forest, VORE Forest. Is that familiar to you, Anna? Destination?
Well, I don't think so. Whose blog is that on?
Okay, I'll just load it now. I tend to mark these. Oh, Kate's World.
Oh, okay. No, right, I know there was a forest on Caminante de Suentos. I think that may be the same one, but no, I haven't been yet.
Okay. Well, it's one of those ones that has a wonderfully gothic come medieval feel to it. It's very fairy tale like, basically, and I was quite intrigued by the photos I got here. You can check this out at I'm going to spell it for you. CAITLINTOBIAS.com. And
Caitlin
blog post.
Tobias. Caitlin
Yeah.
Tobias, yes. She does some wonderful
Right.
work.
Yeah, her blog is called Kate's World, but it's a bit of a nightmare to read there. Anyway, that was Full Forest. That one sounded, or looked, I should say, quite interesting. Right. Oh, now, there is something here which would not normally cross my radar at all, but I have bookmarked it, and I suspect it's something I sort of thought Tara might have picked up on. It's Scratch and Post, the premier kitty cats breedable community. Basically, the blog is called Scratchin. No, Scratchin. That's SCRATCHN post.com. And looking for kitty fashions, it's the only one-stop place for you, the Feline Fashion Centre. Do you know this, Tara?
Well, there's something about putting clothing upon one's kitty cats that reminds me of my childhood and the efforts to put dolls' clothing on cats and then wheel them around in the baby carriage. That thing that and the cats always look seriously pissed off.
Yeah. I think I saw a post on you from Facebook this morning. Where
that one was cute. Yeah, that one was just total cute. But anyway, no, I hadn't actually picked up on that. My understanding is currently the situation is there are hats and collars that end users can design and add. To their kitty cats, in addition to the ones that are sold in the store. What isn't an option at this point is the ability for things like T-shirts, which the only time you see kitty cats with, something like a shirt on or something like that, it's part of their basic pattern. It's it's inherent to that particular kitty cat, like whatever their kitty cat, whatever breed they are. But no, I hadn't picked up on that particular one. I'll have to check it out.
Yeah. Pardon me. Okay, well, the blog you want for that is Scratch SCATCHN post. And I can just tell you from looking at it, there's a list of about 14 individual shops that the slills to them are actually listed there. So if you're into your kitty cats, do check that one out.
I have one other thing.
Yep, carry on. While I'm scrolling my list, please jump in. Yes.
Daniel reminded me of this, and I had meant to mention it earlier. There was a tweet earlier in the week from the Huffington Post on a map of the internet. Which is just extraordinary. I mean, the work that went into this thing is just out of this world. And I spent a good 15 minutes trying to find Second Life on this thing. And it turns out I just didn't go far enough north. And Daniel found Second Life and Resident Island and I think it's two towns called Hubble and anyway, mine's senior moment. Anyway,
so go Rosedale.
Yes, that's right, Rosedale and Hubble. So go to Daniel's blog, danielvoyager.wordpress.com, and find the Second Life on the map of the internet post, because he found it, and you really do need to check out that map, because I mean, you could spend hours looking at all the little towns and creeks and mountains and it's absolutely fabulous. I can remember them from years ago. They were very simplified. This one is just it's quite something.
I have a recollection of one from a good many years ago that I think Second Life was in. Mm-hmm. I mean, this is probably 6-7 years ago.
Yeah, this is everything from not just Second Life. There's games, there's techie stuff, there's the most prominent websites in the world. You really have to go look at this thing. Anyway.
great. I actually saw Daniel's post, and of course he'd done a nice little clip of the part of the map that Second Life's on. So I've never actually seen the full map. I just looked at that little bit. But yeah, good stuff. I've seen a couple of things recently which had me in hysterics. You know, they weren't detailed maps of the internet or anything else like that. They just took a sort of general map. And they took the big things like Facebook and little things and sort of gave them odd sort of names that made you laugh, you know. But certainly that map looks quite formidable. Now, on Thursday, I pulled up a post from, what is it, Second Life Inquirer, www.slenquirer.com. That's SLENQUIRER. And this is a great one. Let's travel. Here we go. Let's travel, a journey through museums in Second Life. And they've literally taken a sort of browse at various museum installations inside Second Life. There's the Museum of Women Heroes, International Space Flights Museum, which I think we know about. I didn't know the Women Heroes one. There's a Museum of Magic as well. Amazing Illusions and Magic. So if you're interested in museums in Second Life, do check that one out at slenquirer.com. Shortish article, but links to follow basically as well. So,
well, I know that
stuff,
the. Sorry, I was to interrupt you. I was going to say the
no,
International Space Flight Museum, that's going to be redone. So they're going to be reworking every exhibit on there.
Oh, right. Is that into mesh form or just general rebuild? Do you know?
It's
because most rebuild these days seem to.
Well, I know that they have a team that they're building with, and it's sponsored here on Second Life. I know that they're also in Kitely, and that's the only other place that I know of them being at. But they just recently had a meeting with the people that run it, and they want to redo everything. So there's some people that have told me when they go into the NASA group, hey, I can't get this to work, or I can't get that to work. And I was informed that, yeah, everything's going to be redone. So it's going to be a whole new exhibition.
Oh, great! I mean, a lot of the Sims that rebuild these days, they seem to go offline almost for a month or so, and then reappear as mesh, which of course is a great economy, but a hell of a lot of work, I imagine, especially for something like space flight and aircraft. But okay, well that's good. We will see what they bring. Actually, coming back to you, Varda, while I'm scrolling here, is there anything exciting, apart from the show as well, is there anything exciting that you've been seen in Second Life or other worlds recently worthy of a mention?
Well, I am excited about the way that mesh is developing here and the way that people are embracing it because I look at stuff that's made from Prem and it's really nice, but there's just something about a piece made from mesh that just kind of blows the socks off it. And I've seen a lot of gotcha. There's a lot of gotcha seems to be the thing right now, the gotcha markets. And those are so full right now. Everyone's telling me, you got to do the gotcha market if you have a shop. Just open up a little table and sell some of your stuff right there. And you can find there's so many people on these little islands doing the gotchas right now. And the work is just extraordinary. It blows my mind, the level of detail that's put into each of these little tiny pieces.
Yeah. It's I think it's one that the Japanese designers have really spearheaded. And that's just based on, a lot of the items I see are, have that sort of flavor to them of work that I've seen in The Sims, where all the signs you see are in Japanese, and you visit the shops and the workmanship and the styles are. But the gotcha festivals and events are great fun because there are really some fabulous things being done.
And I think most of it is mesh too. I don't think rarely find anything that's Prem based.
Yeah.
So that's pretty interesting to see. So that's what I've been excited about. I've been big on reading and finding out more about what's going on with mesh here in Second Life, and I'm hoping that people embrace it more and use it more because it's just I noticed that people say, oh, it causes lag, but it doesn't if it's done right. It actually causes less. So I want to see more.
Talking about every time I see one of these catcher events, I go there and there's so many people, I can't move. It takes an hour to find the thing I'm looking for, and then of course I click on it and I've got like 20. I've got to click 20 times to get standard chance of finding the thing I want. Very odd, very odd. But you see some wonderful stuff at them, I've got to admit. Now I've got who's it here? I've got Ziki Questy's blog, Ziki Questy blogspot.com. That's ZIKIQUESTI blogspot.com. She or he, I'm not sure which. It is a she, right? So she's got a preview of Brino's next installation called The Singularity of Kumiko. She writes about it on the blog, and she's got a little clip there, which I haven't actually downloaded yet. Apparently, this will actually open on, guess when? February the 14th at Brino's Sim Immersiva. And, well, we know, apart from being in the new LEA lot, I think, sort of, Brino can do nothing wrong, really, can he?
She!
She. Sorry.
Actually, Bryn has two.
Take me off air.
Bryn has two exciting pieces of news. She's opening a new show, which is going to make me cry because all her shows make me cry. I don't know why she does that to me. Someday she'll do a happy show and I'll be blown away. But they're beautiful and stunning, and everybody should see them. She also was just awarded a grant from the government of Ontario in Canada. To pursue her work, which is very exciting and revives my faith in the province of Ontario.
Oh, wonderful.
The other piece of news is that Bryn is part of a team pulled together by Rose Borchowski, and they're working on an exhibit that has to do with Russian artists, and I'm trying to remember if it's surreal artists or just anyway, I can't remember what the genre was, but the exhibit will be virtual and real life. So what they're doing will be accessible to the people who visit the location in Russia, which is very exciting, and they're currently working on it and preparing for it on LEA 8. Those are the things I know about Bryn. I am not her press agent, but I just happen to know those three things. That's all I knew.
Yeah, very predominant. Okay, well, sorry about the sex cock up there, Bryn, if you're watching. I was actually asking that. I got confused because it was Ziki Questy whose sex I wasn't sure of.
She's also a she.
That's a shit about it. So they're both she's. Okay, well, we get down. This is the thing about Second Life, of course. You don't always know.
Exactly.
Or even though everybody knows about me, you don't always know. So, yeah. Okay, art exhibits. Art in Second Life by Kaylee Eali. Right, now this... the blog featuring this, basically. This is 2D art shown in Second Life, I hasten to add by the look of it. Just very nice, basically. The blog you want to check for this is meritcoba.com, meritcoba.com. And basically it's a report on an exhibition by somebody called Kaylee Eali. My pronunciation's right. Tara did sort of mention this today, of course. Yesterday was, or actually the day before technically, it's Lunar New Year, the start of the Chinese New Year, the year of the horse now, I believe. And
the wood horse.
Oh, the wood horse. Okay, fair enough. I've actually got a post here from I can't pronounce the Japanese names. I'm sorry, but I've got it's Jang Sung Yong, JANGSUNGYOUNG.wordpress.com. Talking about Lunar New Year in Korea and other regions around there, and what's happening with the Inworld celebrations. Okay, Ziki Christie, I've done that one. Right, now I've finally got the Friday hunt report up, which is the real one. Basically, a quick rundown of. I'm not going to do the store hunts here. I'm just going to list the grid-wide hunts that I've started up and are still going on. Another Day in Paradise hunt is on till February the 15th. A Big Dude, Little Dude hunt is on till February 14th. Enchanted Rockabilly Hunt is on till February 28th. Formal Flare Hunt is on February 15th. Cubes Hunt is on to February the 10th. And New Beginnings Hunt is on to February 20th. And Stars and Stripes Hunt is on to February the 20th too. And the others finished at the end of January. So just some of the new hunts that started up into February there. Hunts are always a good way to discover Second Life. You can go around, you can pick up freebies and just enjoy yourself and explore while you're at it. So hunts are always recommended as useful ways of getting around there. Right. Now, this is fascinating. SL Newser, who do a wonderful roundup every Tuesday morning of events coming up in the week in Second Life. But they had an article just the other day, SL Newser People, blogspot.com. So it's SLNEWS ERPEOPLE.blogspot.com. And on Friday, they had an interview, and you'll know this one, Varda. They had an interview with Green Lantern Excelsior, otherwise known as Hal Jordan, which, of course, you had on, was it your first show, I think, started off with that interview?
Yeah, I saw that.
Mm.
And I thought that was pretty cool because it's good for the Green Lanterns.
Yeah, of course. The Green Lanterns, for those of you who don't know, are they're named after, of course, the superhero comic. Don't ask me if it was Marvel or DC. I've long since forgotten. But they're sort of they're not policemen as such in Second Life, are they? Really, they're more of a sort of do-gooder, sort of caretaker sort of thing. They don't. There was once somebody started a Second Life police force once, and it was full of people posing as policemen. And I don't know. I think half of them were griefers, But the Green Lanterns in Second Life, they're always looking for volunteers and things, and they want to be there to help people out. I think it's the best way of putting it, isn't it?
Yes, that's very accurate. We work hard to try to help people out of situations when you get a lot of griefers who are just trying to ruin your sim or your day. So it's all voluntary, no glamour.
And no damage, hopefully.
Sometimes sometimes when you get into the graphic stuff that they release upon you, I've had a couple times where my computer just died, shut down on me because it was too much. Sometimes you gotta be careful. It's risky sometimes, but if you just really want to help out, it's what you do.
Yeah. And they're well established. They've been going since 2006, so it's not a sort of fly-by-night operation. They've got a whole, they're an establishment in their own right. Do you know if there's any easy way that, say I was giving a party or something like that, and I wanted instant help? Do you know if there's is there a kind of way of getting hold of them? Do you know?
Well, the Green Lanterns, the Green Lanterns, they actually have a group. Let me look that up. And you can talk to Hal Jordan, and he's the leader of the Green Lanterns. And I think he goes by Green Lantern Excelsior as his SL name. And what you do is you talk to him. He puts you on a schedule, or if you want to have your sim looked after, every so often they can go by and just cruise on, and we get people just come in and say, oh yeah, we went by here, nothing was going on. They drop it for a little bit, but if you need them right away, you can hop into the group and go, help, I'm being griefed right now. And what will happen is that'll alert us, and then anybody who's online will get ready and they'll jump right over to help you. So that's what we do. I mean, it happened the other day at this place, and this lady just was getting these tons of people were just coming in and causing all kinds of chaos on her sim, and it was a gambling sim of all things. So she came in and called for help in like 6 people just ran over there and helped her out.
Nice. It's funny, you can go for ages without experiencing any grief as an SL, and then you suddenly go to a gig or something like that, and they seem to descend from nowhere, so they're still around. And it's very useful to have some help to get rid of them, especially if you don't have your own.
And I'm looking for the name of the group for you. I know it's called the Green Lanterns is the name of the group. And it's the group that you can find that's with Hal Jordan as the leader. So, and we also have sites, a Google site, which I can post for you too. And that's Google sites. It kind of gives you an overview of everything that goes on with the Green Lanterns. And you can, read up on there, ask questions or anything like that.
Great. I'll know where to go next time I'm grieved. There was... I think one of you is bound to know about this. There was an event, I think it was yesterday or the day before. I think it was Fuchsia Nightfire celebrating her Res Day. And she put on a deliberate event with Save Me O. And there have been loads of videos of this coming ever since. But we once had an impromptu performance from her on this show. In fact, Save Me O just arrived and performed for us out of the blue. And sometimes there's a mixed feeling about her in Second Life. Is she a griefer or is she an artist, or can she be both, kind of thing?
Well, I think that's sort of like saying, is Fred Phelps a true prophet? And the answer is fairly obvious.
It's funny though. I did read a Real World interview with her, a blog interview or something like that, where she was very specific about her artist griefing. So she made no bones about it. I just found it funny that somebody. Well, no, not funny. I don't know that somebody would actually put on a major event where she actually is in charge of literally everything.
There are
rather well.
She has friends in the artist community, and there are some artists who enjoy her.
I've seen videos she's done, which are quite intriguing and quite they're not mainstream or easily accessible, but just strange sort of pieces, which as pieces of machinima art I quite like. But yeah, I suppose it's the art of the unexpected, isn't it? If you don't want it at a given time and place, you don't always have a choice. But anyway,
I'm looking up the link right now. But since we're speaking about her machinima, or you are, just a second, let me find the link. There's a Real World installation right now. Let me call it an installation. In I want to say Spain, it could be Portugal, and a number of Second Life artists are involved and are exhibiting there. And in the machinima category, Save Me is one of the people who are, maybe it's Ziki's. Let me just check Ziki's blog. Ziki, there are photographers, there are machinists, and 3D type of exhibits. And in the category of machinima, Save Me is one of them. But the very exciting thing is that quite a number of Second Life artists are being displayed in real life at this particular gallery. So I'll look for that while you keep going.
Okay, I will. Vada has just put into live viewers will see it in the chat window, but I'm just going to read out the site for the Green Lanterns. It's https sites.google.com/site/the Green Lanterns of Second Life. All one word, that the Green Lanterns of Second Life /home. And that's where you can find their Google site if you ever need them. So want to find out more about them for that matter. Okay. So I'm actually at the end of my link prompts, as it were. Father, and to certain honour, because she's still looking up her thing.
I am. I'm still.
Yeah. You were here last week, of course. But last week we were on air. What, it was 2 days after the breaking news that
Uh-huh.
Robert Linden had left Second Life. No lab announcement yet. And also, of course, we saw the closure of Cloud Party, ostensibly because it's been bought out by Yahoo. Some questions were whether Yahoo wanted the tech guys behind it and didn't really want Cloud Party. And other suggestions more recently is that they're actually looking at virtual worlds and they were possibly grabbing it for Cloud Party. But I'll start with you, Father. Have you any thoughts on what's going on there?
Well,
Or
I always look at it this way. I've had many people tell me I'm very much like a cat. If you move my furniture, I get very, very upset, meaning I don't take change very well.
very good, very good.
but you have to accept that not all change is bad. So I'm going to say kudos to the CEO. I hope he actually does make this world better, and just gonna grit my teeth and smile and wait.
I have a feeling it may be a while before we find out who the next one is, or
I
whether there'll be a
I gotta
stand-in.
I gotta tell you what I think is really strange. And yes, it's the lack of announcement, but it's I mean, he left a week before he announced it on Facebook. And it was like he was waiting for the lab to say something, and they didn't. So it's very strange from a corporate point of view that they wouldn't announce the departure, even if they didn't know who was coming in. It's very strange that they wouldn't just say anything. And I don't understand that. If we go back to Hamlet's comment, and I scared somebody, they thought I was saying that Second Life was turning into a game. It's not what I was saying. I swear to God. What I was saying was that the fact that Hamlet is excited scares me, because it's always been one of his things is pushing it towards game-like, right? I mean, he's always felt that if it was more like a game, it would attract more residents, and so if he's really excited, oh my God, maybe he thinks that's the direction it's going, or maybe it's because somebody big is buying us out, or maybe it's because they're going off in some new tech world. But what I will say about Rod Humble is that it seems very coincidental to me that he left at exactly the same time that they sold Cloud Party. That somehow either he disagreed with that particular decision or the direction it meant they were going or something. I just find it very odd that those two things happened at the same time with very little discussion on the part of Linden Lab. That's all.
Yeah, I mean,
hold on, I've got a question. What Honor, what do you see as the connection between Cloud Party and Linden Lab?
Well, just that well, none. It seemed odd to me that both things happened at the same time. That's all. And that, I've already explained how techie I am, and and I've explained how deeply embedded in Linden Lab I am, which is not. Yeah. I just thought that was a little strange, and it could have absolutely nothing to do with anything. I assure you.
It's odd, because sometimes there's no big news for weeks. I mean, we bring the news when the news is, and yeah, I mean, it was uncanny the way those two things happen at once. I'd never thought of it as much of a correlation, and I did mean to mention earlier that when I was listening to Joe Yardley on Jaster's radio show, she did say in fact, she even gave the name of a site, and it's not one of Rod Humble's sites that I know, so I'm going to have to replay it to find out the name. But she was, of course, it was actually writing to her that Rod Humble first broke it, really, in the public. But she did say she had been to a new site, unbeknownst to me, as I hadn't heard of it publicly, that Rod has actually launched. Whether it's public or not, I don't know. And she was raving about the projects he was listing there that he was going to be launching, and but they didn't sound Cloud Party-ish. It sounded more like he's into entertainment and games again.
Well, and that's good.
Sorry,
for him.
Varda.
No, that's yeah. Sorry, Varda.
Yeah.
Well, I was going to say the only connection that I know of is the person that created Cloud Party used to work for Second Life.
Yeah, that's true.
Right, Corey Andreja.
Yeah. And I just thought it was odd that they happened at the same time. Forget I said anything.
Yeah, no,
But
from your comment, I was a little confused because it sounded like you were seeing a direct connection there, and yeah, Corey was with the lab, but Corey's departure from the lab was long before.
oh yes,
Mm.
yes, it was. I'm
So-
excited for Rod if he's doing a Rockstead project,
Yeah,
and it could
You
be
know
he's
that-
been planning this for months. It's just odd to me that the lab hasn't responded or said anything.
It's also the other thing that I really wonder what state, the thoughts at the lab are about the future, because this is the first time we've had a change of CEO where Philip Rosedale is no longer around. He's no longer on the board. And he's working overtime with High Fidelity, and the feeling is he's dropped out of the board. Simply because he's now a competitor to Second Life, or sees himself as coming out with something which may interact or may not interact with Second Life, but is in some ways competing, trying to build the virtual world all over again. And, if I was running Linden Labs, whoever I was and whatever my interest, and the founder left the board and sort of was starting up in competition, or even though it's a long game for Philip, there'd be something psychological about that. Sort of says, well, even the founder's going off doing, the next stage, and it sort of would put the lab into that feeling of, we're second players now in terms of the innovation or whatever. So I don't, I wondered, firstly, it's not unusual that somebody like Rod would have been hired under a 3-year contract. And the date he chose for his leaving was his 3 years. It was, exactly 3 years. So maybe he didn't want to renew a contract or something.
Yeah.
So that would explain certain elements of the timing. Or he may have just felt, well, the core, I'm CEO, but the core members of the board, his visionists aren't around anymore either. So there are other things I'd like to do. And he creates games and all sorts of things on his own back all over the place. So it's not as though he's just moving on to a CEO job elsewhere. He's got his fingers in so many pies, creative pies, that, maybe 3 years he thought, well, that's a long enough stint. So, the lab not announcing anything bugs me, to be honest. But, I don't really see anything hidden agenda here in Rod's leaving, other than to pursue his own projects.
It's just,
but I might be wrong.
I mean, basic courtesy, would say that the board of directors would issue an announcement that he left and thank him for his contributions to the lab and to Second Life. That's just basic courtesy when somebody leaves.
Yeah,
that's what I don't get.
Yeah, when your top executive leaves, regardless of the reasons for their departure.
Exactly.
Although there are always these kind of subtle undertones in such announcements which tend to suggest whether it was somebody departed under a cloud or whether they departed in good grace.
Yeah. But still, you say something.
It's very weird to me that there has not been that sort of basic announcement. I don't know. Maybe this is a board that figures because Linden Lab is closely held. And obviously, if we look at lab communication generally over the last several years, they don't feel any obligation whatsoever to communicate about things. I
mean, I understand that. I think Mitch Kapoor, for example, is smarter than that. And he knows the industry. He knows what it means to the image of a company if the CEO leaves and nobody says anything. That's just.
And and it goes beyond Second Life, because they weren't very quick on it, but within days, the gaming press, the massive leads of this world and stuff, endless blogs were actually covering the news. And of course, these were, these are blogs read by people who aren't particularly interested in Second Life necessarily, but would read those posts and thinks, yeah, well, who's stepping in? I suppose you could argue that Microsoft lost their CEO quite a while back, and they're still trying to find a replacement. But
but that
these
was
things do
known. I
take
mean,
time. But yeah,
Ballmer's departure from Microsoft had been announced months before because he was retiring.
yeah,
So that was, I mean, that was a non-news item as far, I mean, other than the fact that he was one of the founders and so had been there forever.
yeah.
But
Well, the bigger news this week is that they're possibly going to take Bill Gates off the board. And he's, when it comes to the real founder, they want to change the chairman as well as the CEO. But that's another ball game. That's not our area. But yeah, I mean, it is odd. I mean, Mark Kingdon's departure was abrupt, very abrupt. But I mean, that was out in the open as soon as it happened. It just seems very strange that this is. The lab just seems to be working as normal and ignoring the fact they don't have a CEO. But, what's the news, please, folks?
Yeah.
And we're not getting it.
Well, one of the things that I have wondered about now. Yes, Philip is off the board, but because Linden Lab and by definition Second Life is closely held, we have no idea if Philip divested himself of his, I'm sure, majority share of the ownership of Linden Lab. We have no, it's not anything we have information about unless there was some insider who knew and told. And I have trouble on it. So did he simply resign from the board because he said, I don't have time? Or did he divest himself of his probable majority share ownership of Linden Lab too at some point in the last year?
Very good point. And of course, Wright left the board as well, who of course probably came onto the board through Rodvik and has left more or less the same time, a bit earlier, I think, but same time. So it's all changed.
When exactly.
Okay, I found the blog post I wanted to talk about, the project, the real life project. It's called, I apologize.
I'll read it out, shall I?
Yes.
It's http://ZikiQuesti, that's ZikiQuesti.blogspot.ca. I think Con will get it to you too.
Yeah.
/2014/01/motel_
hyphen.
motel hyphen Coimbra.
Coimbra?
Coimbra. COIMBRA.
So Motel Coimbra is the name of a show that it has opened at the University of Coimbra in Portugal. And it's an exhibition. And it features works by PhD students, one of whom we know Inworld is CapCat Ragu, who created, among other things, the Metabody project.
Yes.
But what she's done is she's brought in a lot of other artists from within Second Life. So there's a whole section on avatars. There's a section on machinima and a section on photographs. So under photographs, if you know Caroline from France, Paula Mills, Thea Mayman, and ZikiQuesti. Under avatars, everybody from Sika Ghost to Mimesis Monday, Valida Lorikeet. Under machinima, CapCat, Shikaeon, Fuchsia Nightfire, Save Mio, and a number of others. So it's very cool that they're all exhibiting in Portugal right now.
Very much. I mean that real world is what it's all about. Just a few of the visitors
exactly
go too.
Yeah, because they'll see what's possible from these amazing people.
I remember China Tracy, I forget her other name, who did the City project in Second Life some years ago. I met her. There was an exhibition in London here, where she had her mini city as a sort of plaster model and stuff like that, and had bits of Second Life on screens, and there was an evening, it was talking about the future of pavilions, both architecturally and as public meeting spaces. And one whole aspect she was putting forward was the idea of virtual worlds, particularly Second Life at the time, as being one of the new pavilion spaces. The open-ended pavilions. These are the pavilions of the future, which was absolutely great. But I actually ended up helping her. Because there were about 3 screens up, and I sort of logged in with my avatar on one, and actually Hamlet was logged in with me from the States or wherever, and whatever. But all these people sort of crowding around, and I ended up sort of talking for about 2 hours, demonstrating possibilities to people. I think China was around being interviewed by the press or something, so I was doing all this, and everybody was writing this stuff down, so they could go home and download the client and go in there for themselves. And, I just came away thinking, great, I've just been demonstrating something, and all these people are going away. They can't wait to get home to get into Second Life.
Yeah.
And, that's just like one of those magic moments, where you think, I've just was there at the right place at the right time, and I turned a whole load of people onto Second Life. And, I don't wander around the streets sort of telling everybody to go to Second Life. This is just happens like that. So
That's very cool.
It's major exhibitions like this that can possibly because if enough people go and can't wait to get in World and find out what it's about, and they make it viral, this is a whole new if the kind of people they'll be attracting will be a new group of people, sort of so events like that I think are tremendously important to sort of promoting the future of these things. People actually just being able to see them in the real world and say, oh, there's more to this than meets the eye, kind of thing. Anyway, I wonder, I think we've all exhausted our topics, haven't we, more or less today? Let me go round to you all and just start rounding up and figure out what's coming up. Let's start with you, Vada. Anything coming up on the next show that you want to publicize now, or also anything coming up in your diary that you can't wait to get to, etc., etc.?
Well, we got a new sponsor, and SL Inquire, so we were pretty excited about that.
Good.
Yeah, so that's big in our books. And as far as the new show, no, not yet, because we haven't had our meeting. I have a lot of ideas and thoughts on what I want to do, because we got St. Patrick's Day coming up, which is always fun to play with.
Yes.
So be looking for a St. Patrick's theme program. That's all I can say right now.
Okay. Anything in World you're excited about coming up other than the program itself, or?
Not really. I when I'm on Second Life, I'm always working, and it's very rare that I just sit around and play. So
Yes.
it's not like I just sit around and, I got this going on. I got invited to a ball, but I don't know if I'm gonna go, so I'll just be the wallflower anyway. So no.
I'm very much the same. I wait for the invites, and if something attracts my eye, then I log in and go to it. But half the time, I don't log in here unless I'm here for a purpose, shall we say?
Exactly.
I think we grow into that state of mind, and the novelty of constantly exploring is worn off. Even though there's so much out there, you just tend to get swamped down with what you're actually doing yourself. Honor. Anything we haven't covered that is exciting you in coming up?
Well, there's
or just finished.
Some of you may know Havit Neox, who's an artist. He did Second Libations and various other things. He had an interim project on Leia called the Paper Observatory.
Yes.
Friday night, one of the things he did at Second Libations, which was a huge complex build, was that on the last day of his grant, he blew it up and burnt it down. And so people talked to him about the Paper Observatory, and Friday night, a group of us wound up sitting on the corner of his island watching it blow up and burn down. It was very exciting. Anyway, he has a brand new show, which is at the Art India Gallery, curated by Quan Lavender. And it's called The Miniature Goal. And what it is okay, let me see if I can explain that. The idea is this: if we're destroying the ecosystem, if we're destroying the world around us, you'll notice that as we use up those resources or destroy rivers or mow down rainforests, it doesn't affect us in our homes, right? But what if it did? What if every time we did that, our houses got smaller? So if you go, it's called the miniature goal. I'm looking up the URL now, but what he's done is he's built a city that what the heck just happened here?
I'm actually loading it myself. It's
Thank
one
you.
I have a link.
It's on
here,
Shakawati.
I forgot all about.
I'll post the link in the chat here, and then Gio will tell me that it's too long. But there you go. Anyway, but what he's done is he's built a city which is small. So when we walk through the city, we're much bigger than it is. It's to reflect what would happen if the actual world we see every day shrunk every time we did something terrible to the planet. So, and I love his work. I'm an unabashed fangirl. So it's one I'm looking forward to visiting.
Interesting concept.
Oh, now it's going to open twice. Brilliant. Yeah, this is, I had a link to this. I actually posted several, but I have one in our plays blog again. So at modernworld.wordpress.com, she's got a picture there. She's got several pictures and quite a long article on it. So, yeah, that sounds very interesting.
So that's what I'm looking forward to.
Yeah, and I'm just following the related... Oh, no, this is actually the slow, so I don't really need that. I can give you the slow, I think. Yep, the sim you want is called Shekawati. That's SHEKHAWATI. And the coordinates are 237/41/35.
Yeah.
Oh, and this is interesting. There's a musical side to this, interestingly, too. It opened yesterday. It features music by Noise Pap from a new album called Orientopolis. So, if you're into music, there seems to be an exclusive musical part to that, too, which is even more fun, I suppose. Okay, so we've got that one covered. Okay, Tara, anything else before we...
Yeah, just one small item here. Honor, I want to thank you for the concept of the obsessions list. The obsessions list concept.
We lost her.
Yeah, it should be back, I think. We lost your voice, Tara.
Way that will continue to annoy you until you ultimately address them. And I'm wondering, Honor, have you addressed your Second Life AO issue yet?
No.
Or should we make sure we just give you a wide berth?
Give me a wide berth. I got a new AO, and I'll explain because she went mute for briefly. But my obsessions list, I keep a lot of lists. I have a list of places I want to go to. I have a list of things I need to do. Then I have a list in my head I call my obsessions, which is where something's bugging me, and one of these days I'm going to fix it, or I'm going to find it, or I'm going to fix it. But in the meantime, it just continues to bug me. And every time I come in World, I've got a new AO, and I follow myself walking down an aisle, and I could swear I could hip check anybody within 3 meters. And it's driving me nuts. And no, I have not yet sat down and put the old walk, which I've been using for 7 years, into this new AO so that I do not dislocate my spine at some point walking down the street. But that's my obsession list. It hangs around and niggles at you forever and ever and ever until you actually deal with it.
Yeah, that's a great concept.
Yeah, I think I used to have those, but yeah, I had those. The trouble is, they don't niggle me because I forget all about them completely.
Oh, well, yeah, but then it's no longer an obsession, so it's off the list.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Good idea. Keep a list of all the... Oh, I'd be in a real mess then, wouldn't I? Okay, well, folks, I think we've exhausted this. We're going to end up rambling if I'm not careful. What more to say, really? We will be back, same time, same place next week. Many thanks to Father Silver for joining us this week. Thanks, Father.
Thank
And we
you. I
look
really
forward
appreciate it.
to, yeah, we will be seeing your latest show in about an hour's time on the channel if you're watching live. And we look forward to next month's show as well. And thank you, Honor McMillan,
Thank you for
without,
having me.
without whom we would have no destinations. or even the tech tips earlier.
There you go.
That's very good there. So wonderful to have you back. And we'll see you again soon. And of course, thank you to Tara.
Anytime.
Anytime, she says, yes. Every time, more to the point. So, we will be back next week. If you are watching this live, you can always catch the replay, not only here on MSWorld 2, the channel, but you can also see a standalone version of Inworld Review up on YouTube. And with a bit of luck, it will be, if live streams recorded it properly, it will be up in a matter of half an hour or something. Otherwise, you may have to wait a bit. That is the way it goes. But thanks for watching, and we'll see you again, same time, I hope, next week. If live streams recorded it properly, it will be up in a matter